Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the final plenary session of this year's symposium. I know that you're all waiting in eager anticipation to hear from Roberto Clemente Jr. Did you know that yesterday was in baseball Roberto Clemente Day? So I thought I would bring that up. On January 1st, 1973, I was a 17-year-old senior in high school living in Southern California, and I was anticipating the Rose Bowl game between my USC Trojans and the Ohio State Buckeyes, which USC won. Happy to hear that. But I remember right before the game started, it went into breaking news, and that's never a good thing. And the person coming on said something to the effect of, "We interrupt this broadcast with breaking news. Roberto Clemente of the Pirates was on a plane to deliver aid to the earthquake victims of Nicaragua. Plane has gone down and Clemente is feared dead." And my father and I, who were great baseball fans, sort of looked at each other in utter disbelief because we have always loved Roberto Clemente and the way that he played. And I think I announced yesterday that he is my all-time favorite baseball player. So I wanted to very much take the time to introduce today's very special speaker. It must be tough to have a name like Roberto Clemente, and he has used that name quite well. He actually had a little bit of a baseball career. Unfortunately, the injury bug bit him a little bit too much, but he has used his influence to affect the world as a humanitarian in a number of ways, being involved with Roberto's Kids, with the Roberto Clemente Foundation, and he's now involved in other things dealing with medical technology. And I was driving him over here today and overheard, because I was in the car, he was sitting next to me, a little bit about some technology that might have some promise for the future of cancer treatment. And those of you who know me know that that would mean a lot. So anyway, I would like for you all to give a warm welcome to the son of, in my opinion, the greatest baseball player in history, Roberto Clemente Jr.
Well, good afternoon. It's great to be here today. Keith, thank you. I can say that today I stand here before you and not happy with the way that the Cardinals are playing. Obviously, you know the story, the history. My father played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Pirates, for the first time in 20 years, are actually trying to knock on the door in the playoffs, and the Cardinals are messing it up. Not happy about that. But, as Keith said, I stand here before you today and feel very privileged and to stand and I can actually announce a few things on the technology side, but before I do that, I need to really express how I got here. I believe that the legacy that my father has left us as a family, me as Roberto Clemente Jr., is great. I didn't feel that way when I was growing up. I didn't understand the global impact that he had, not only in the game of baseball, sport of baseball, but as a humanitarian, as a human being. This kid from Carolina, Puerto Rico, got into Major League Baseball in 1955 when the Pittsburgh Pirates stole him from the Dodgers. Rule 5, whoever knows baseball, every time the Rule 5 comes around, the first name that comes out is Roberto Clemente, because they stole him from the Brooklyn Dodgers. But he was a special man. He was ahead of his time. He was a perfectionist. It was full of pride, to the point that my mother had to fly to Puerto Rico from Pittsburgh for us to be born in Puerto Rico. in his island. He didn't want us to be born anywhere else but in Puerto Rico. So my mom had to fly and go to Puerto Rico and give birth to us. I myself was born at 11:55 p.m. on August 17th, 1965. And I say that because if Mom would have waited, or I would have waited 5 more minutes, it would have been his birthday. He's like, you couldn't wait 5 minutes? What's going on here? It would have been a great birthday present. But I feel very proud that I carry his name today. He obviously died on a mercy mission to Nicaragua. He lived and died with this. Anytime you have an opportunity to help others, or to make a difference in this world, and you don't, you're wasting your time on earth. And the day of December 31st, 1972, a baseball player, a superstar, died. And a hero and a legend was born. He was already a superstar in the game of baseball, but the way that he died impacted the world in many ways. It showed compassion from a man that did not have to leave on a New Year's Eve and leave his family behind to go help others, because he understood that the aid that he was sending out to Nicaragua at the time was not getting to the people that need it the most. The government, the militia, Somoza was the dictator at the time in Nicaragua, and the militia was actually taking over all the supplies coming in and selling it in the black market. So when he heard that, he said, forget about the party, you guys can have the party, but I need to go and deliver the supplies for the hospital in Masaya, Nicaragua, when the plane went down a mile and a half after takeoff. Body never found. Plane went down in the Atlantic Ocean, and if you remember the image of JFK Jr. saluting his father's casket, it was the same thing for me when I see a picture of me kneeling, I'm on my knees behind home plate at Three River Stadium, kissing a poster of my father because I missed him. And while they were doing a ceremony on home plate, I looked back and I saw the poster, and I needed to reach out and kneeled, gave him a kiss in the cheek, and the photographer, out of the blue, I didn't even know, just took a picture. And it's funny because I always thought that I was alone growing up, because everywhere I went, I had a field questions about my father. And people would meet me and start crying. Now, I lost him at 7 years old. So imagine a 7-year-old and someone coming toward, say, Roberto Clemente Jr., and they start bawling. What do you do? But as I grew up, I understood that it was a very natural thing to do if you're touched by someone. The impact that he had in the game of baseball, which was just a vehicle for him to become the activist, civil activist that he was, is enormous. I did not understand that at the time. I actually wanted to change my name at age 13 because I was really upset for the fact that everywhere I went, I figured I couldn't be myself because well, I wasn't myself. I was the son of. I was not Roberto Jr., I was the son of growing up. And I did not understand what that meant and how proud I should be. The only thing that I did understand was the fact that a lot of people, the world actually, was looking at me and trying to touch me because they wanted to get close to him. For me, he was not a superstar. He was not a baseball player. He was not a hero. I grew up just missing my dad. And in many ways, the story goes, and I will, while I'm speaking, I'm going to be promoting shamelessly our new book coming out on the 24th of this month. Go get it. That he had a sense that he was going to die young. He always told my mother, Vera, I'm going to die young. I want you to sit down and I want you to understand what I'm doing, the investments that I'm making, because I'm going to die young. And Mom, stop that, Roberto. Stop talking like that. So in 38 years, he accomplished a lot, to the point that today is 40 years of his death, and his legacy is stronger than ever. Last night, who watched ESPN last night? You watched ESPN last night? Huh? I was on TV last night? Really? I missed it. I was on a flight. But, see, I was actually on the way here and on TV at the same time. How do I do that? I'm good. Well, my father was voted the most influential Latino athlete in history. That in itself is quite an honor. But I believe that he was more than an athlete. He was, like I said, an activist. He was someone that was completely ahead of his time. And like I said, 40 years ago, when you have a guy that is receiving, just sacks of fan mail, and he himself wrote back to every one of them. And the time that he took to look at the schedule for the road trip and take a stack of those mail, those letters, asking for his autograph, for him to get up in the morning after a night game and just happen to go to a different city and wake up in the morning in the hotel, get a cab, and visit the local hospital to hand deliver that mail. The way he fixed people's backs, necks, as a chiropractor. He was a chiropractor as well. He was a poet. He was a musician. He made ceramics. And he took the time to give. We, as society, today more than ever, that we have the technology, Twitter accounts. Don't be afraid to follow me. Actually, I don't tweet, really. My agent's killing me. He's like, you gotta start tweeting. I say, okay, fine. But if you come, I'll start tweeting about my book. But for him to be able to touch so many people without even meeting them, to where touch people like Muhammad Ali. There's a quote, we had a ghostwriter who helped us with the book, and he works for CBS Sports. And he interviewed Muhammad Ali many years ago. And as a young writer, he asked Muhammad, he goes, who are the people that you look up to? And probably just the most immediately, he mentioned my father. Guys like Michael Jordan, that the guy owned the world at one point. He retired from basketball for the first time and went to, or attempted to play baseball, because he was terrible. But when I first met Michael Jordan, I met him at the White Sox camp, and when I'm walking towards his locker, he's actually taking his pants off. And I'm going like, great, I'm gonna meet Michael Jordan in his underwear. And that's what happened. But Frank Thomas says, MJ, I want you to meet a good buddy of mine, and he's hanging up his trousers in his locker. He's standing there in his Hanes. And he goes, I want you to meet a buddy of mine, Roberto Clemente Jr. And his reaction, he stopped, and slowly he turns. He stretches his hand, he goes, sir. Now, this is Michael Jordan calling me sir. He goes, sir, what an honor to meet you. You need to understand that when I was growing up, all I wanted to be was Roberto Clemente. Now, this is coming from a guy, a god as we called him, of sports, wanted to be my father. 2 weeks later, the same exact words come from Mr. Wayne Gretzky, Muhammad Ali, and so forth, have expressed the desire as a young player, as a young boy, to become Roberto Clemente. That means a lot to me, to my family, because it means that he was more than a baseball player. It was someone that people look up to. And because of that, people come to me with many things to look at, and they want me to endorse their product or whatever it is that they're working on. We as a family have come together and kept on the legacy because we help people. And because of my name, today I can say that in a matter of 4, maybe 5, but at least 4 years, we're gonna have, well, we have it, but we can't announce it, but it stays right here, right? Nobody's recording this? I hope not. I see a camera. But we're gonna have a cure for cancer. I am proud, yes, thank you, yes. We will have a cure. We have a cure. We need to go through the process, but we always hear, yes, we have a cure for cancer, but all that is doing is extending the life for a few months. We're talking about definitely getting rid of it. Right now we're dealing with autism, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, stroke victims, PTSD, ADD, ADHD with a new technology, which actually I'm a product. I went through the treatment myself for 8 to 9 concussions that I actually suffered, and it's amazing. You'll hear about this pretty soon with a U.S. Navy SEAL that's in the clinic as we speak, and he'll be speaking for himself for the first time after 6 years of not being able to speak, even more, even longer actually. He was hurt while carrying 2 of his Navy SEAL partners and stepping on a mine and losing his legs and one leg, and suffering from PTSD. But because of my situation and the way that we continue to work towards helping people, I'm standing here today with all the knowledge that I have and be able to share with you. But most importantly is about doing the right thing. It's about not only the global sport. My father, yes, is global, not because he played baseball, but I think because of the way that he died, because the way that he cared about people, and the goodwill. Goodwill will always open doors anywhere you go. We come in from Puerto Rico, and to have a town in Germany be the first one in the world to name a stadium after my father after the accident is enormous. He never went to Germany. How come there's a stadium in Germany after his name, Roberto Clemente? Goodwill, I would say. It's not because of baseball. I think it's because of goodwill and the way you impact society, impact people. You're closing today a symposium, and I'm actually very, very happy to see this happening, and this is the first time that I hear a college doing what they're doing here, and I'm very, very impressed. And I actually stated earlier to a group of students that I would love to come back and spend some time here. I love this campus. This is great. And for me, it gives me a great honor to be able to spend some time with you and be able to field some of the questions that I fielded today and be able to just chat and give you some of my knowledge and at least my insight of what we all are about. We're all from the same race. We are in the same race, the human race. And there is no color, there is no religion. There's nothing, at least the way I grew up. But life is not the same way. And I articulated that earlier where I stand here today, and because, people, they bow, oh, your father was great. Well, in other instances, in different states, not knowing who I was, the color of my skin was something that was trouble. The same way my father went through Jackie Robinson and all these players before us. In 1985, I had to run for my life many times. I was chased by the KKK, Aryan Nation, but I still stand here. Not angry, just knowledgeable of what's out there and how we can try to change it with goodwill. Sports is amazing. Sports is something that I grew up with. Like I said, I was born with an eye patch. I was a pirate. That's why I hate the Cardinals today. But it's a beautiful thing. If we take a look at who we become as a teammate, how we can affect so many people for playing a sport. Athletes today don't understand that they are, yes, role models. And if you look at the news, we have a problem because they don't understand that PEDs or getting arrested or killing someone or getting involved with the wrong people, obviously we all know that every action has a consequence, but when you're getting paid millions of dollars to play a kid's game, because that's what it is, you have a responsibility. And that is why my father had a game face every day he walked out the door, because he demanded respect. He was not representing just himself and his family. He was representing the people from Puerto Rico He was representing the people from Latin America. He was representing the minority. He was representing the hardworking people. And that's how he carried himself. And that's how I believe we should have that pride of where we come from. Doesn't matter where we come from, be the best that you can be. I spend a lot of time talking to young people, young kids, and one of the things that I always tell them is, I gave them a story. I asked them, well, do you know about the Declaration of Independence? They say yes. And I'll ask them, well, who is the unique signature in that document, which is John Hancock? It's nice and clear, right? He was actually big and just there, the John Hancock. So he separated himself from the group, from the pack, because he was, you could actually see it from, it didn't matter which angle you looked at it, it was John Hancock. And that is who we need to be. We need to be our own individual. We need to be our own person. And we have something, I have something that you don't have and can never match. And that is my fingerprint. We all have our own fingerprint. It doesn't matter where you go, but whatever you touch, it is you that left your name on it with your fingerprint. So make sure that whatever it is that you touch, either physically or in this institution, for example, leave your mark, leave your fingerprint. As a great student, as a great classmate, make sure you leave a positive fingerprint, just the same way my father left on the game of baseball and also in this world. It's very simple to just, I'll do it later or whatever the case may be. I think that we need to be very concerned how we leave this earth. Your legacy means a lot to you and your family should. I'm very honored that I can open doors for organizations today because of what my father left me. I am a father of 3 beautiful girls, 25 down to 19, a stepfather of 2 boys, and a grandfather. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter that I hope can be as proud as I am of my father and what he left me with. He left me something special. He left me something that people look at me and understand that there is respect going back to them for me because that's the way we are as a family. But it's amazing that this kid from Carolina had President Obama come back. I was at Bon Jovi's house. I'm not throwing any names out there right now, but I was at Bon Jovi's house, and he was speaking. I got there late for traffic, whatever, and so a buddy of mine, he's up in this hill, and President Obama was actually going into his vehicle. He says, President Obama, I want you to meet my buddy, Roberto Clemente Jr. He actually stopped. He actually had a foot in the car. He came back. He says, where? He says, down there. It was, let's say, he had to go a long way. He had to go down the steps and everything else. And I did not know that he was coming back. Someone says, listen, somebody's looking for you. When I turn around, it was the president. He comes over to me, goes, extends his handshake. He goes, That name moves mountains. You should be very proud. And that's coming from the President of the United States of America. Talk about a kid from Carolina, Puerto Rico, that has the respect from guys, like I said, Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Gretzky, all these great athletes, presidents. GW, for example, I changed my number. I remember, I don't know how many years ago was this, but I changed my number, cell number, and I only gave it to my mother, I remember, at that point. I changed it one night, I gave it to my mom, and a phone call comes in. It was blocked. I'm like, probably the wrong number, because I haven't given this number to anyone. It was actually Mr. Clemente. It's the White House. Oh, said, oh, gee, really? How? I was going to ask, how did you get my number? It's a brand new number. But then again, I figured it's the White House, so yes. And they asked, President Bush would like to invite you, if you have any time, to be the commissioner for our T-ball in the South Lawn. And I said, no, just kidding. I just said, of course, I will be there. And I had met him before when he was the owner of the Texas Rangers. And the respect that he has to my father, but also my mother, who I believe deserves all the accolades that my father has received as much. It's amazing. It is truly amazing that the president of the free world, most powerful man, just sits there and is in awe about what my father meant to the game of baseball and for society. So we, as people, have the ability of touching so many others with our actions. We don't have to play sports to be able to do that. We just need to be aware of where we are, who's around us, and how we can help. So for me, it is really quite an honor that that legacy that this man left us is just growing every year. After this book, there is a documentary that we're gearing up to shoot, where we're going to start in Germany because of the connection being the first place in the world that was named after him. The second place is Africa, Liberia to be exact. And why Africa? Because there was a coin that honored my father, his face on the coin, equivalent to the dollar, and also a $10 coin, which I wasn't aware until there was an exhibit in Puerto Rico and someone brought the coins, and I'm like, what is this? And this is a coin from Liberia, Africa. And my father's face was in the coin. Japan. Today, the Japanese Professional League has an award named the Golden Spirit Award in memory of Roberto Clemente. My father never got to Japan, number one. How is that happening? But it's showing you that it's beyond the sport. It's because of the man, the human being that cared for others. So there's been over 80 books written about my father, and the book on the 24th is our first as a family, so go get it. We're very proud. We're a very proud family. It is an honor to be here and be able to see you doing what you do. I am really pleased to have been invited to speak to you today because it means a lot. It means a lot to me to be able to share my stories with you. And just get comfortable because we're only starting. We have another 3 hours. I wish I could stay 3 hours, but I can't. I know you guys are closing and you're looking at me going like, come on, hurry up, I want to go. It's been 2 days dealing with this, but I am actually leaving today, going to Pittsburgh to meet my brother, my youngest brother, Ricky, who was affected by Dad's accident to the point where, as a kid, he had a flight. He had no choice to go to Pittsburgh for the summertime with the family, but when he got to a certain point, he said, I am not getting on a plane. And for 21 years, he never left Puerto Rico until 2 days ago. I'm going to see him in Pittsburgh for the first time in 21 years. I haven't seen him in Pittsburgh, out of Puerto Rico. I'm very excited. But we have a fundraiser in Pittsburgh for a Clemente Museum. But we're celebrating how he was named the most influential Latino athlete in history, and also the true sports hero by Fox Sports. And the more I think about it, it's amazing how he never really realized how he was touching all these people. He wasn't looking for anything back when he visited the hospitals, when he helped people and helped with their backs. He was just doing the right thing. And I hope that we can do the same. Just do the right thing. It doesn't cost much. Sometimes we can walk around, and I'm pretty sure we all have our bad days, and we can smile and change a person's day. A small thing like that can change a lot. There's a story very quickly of a buddy of mine that was thinking about killing himself one day. And he told me the story, and I was like, are you kidding me? And because of a girl, doesn't even know her, didn't even know her, never saw her again, but she just smiled and said, he opened the door, whatever he was even thinking, but he was in his mind, I'm going to kill myself today. I'm miserable. I'm going to kill myself. And this girl turned and looked at him, said, thank you, smiled, have a great day. What a wonderful, just a quick hello, thank you, and changed his outlook with something so simple as a smile and a thank you. We can change the world if we want to. There are many things that we can accomplish as a group, but individually, we need to make sure that we do the right thing and be compassionate to one another, and I think this world will be a better place. Pick up the book on the 24th. I am going to I'm going to remember this day because I promised I was going to come back here, and I know that Keith and everyone else are going to be calling me, remember, you got to come back. If the Cardinals lose, they'll be here quicker. But I truly hope that if the people that do not know the story about Roberto Clemente, seriously, check it out. Google the book. Follow me on Twitter. And I can tell you this much, that this fingerprint means a lot. It should mean a lot to you. It should mean a lot to your family. Your legacy is important. I wish that I could at least touch one person before I die and make them a better person. I think we should all strive to at least help one person. I try to do that every day, help one person, because it feels good. It is the right thing to do. And I can tell you, and I'll leave this with this, I can say that I am proud to be Puerto Rican, but I'm very proud to be an American. And the things that we have gone through in this time and what we're going through, the only way we can go through all this as a nation is to be stronger and to help one another. And I thank you very much for that. I will open up for some questions if possible. I think I have like 10 minutes of questions if possible before I have to run out to the airport. And no, I am not singing.
Mr. Clemente, my name is Mary Catherine. I was just wondering if you could go into a bit more detail. You're talking about your work with basically brains, and so I was wondering if you'd be willing to talk a bit more about that.
All right, I can talk about the brain space. I tell you what, I am not a neurologist. I'm not a doctor. I simply went to a cancer, it was a brain summit at Cornell University in New York 4 years ago. I went there because I'm on the board of a foundation that is dealing with a type of tumor that comes to the brain for kids. 200 kids die every year. There's no cure to it. So I wanted to learn more about it. So Patrick Kennedy is very, very much involved when it comes to the brain. And I went to the summit. I found it very, very interesting. And somehow, but actually not somehow, because of LinkedIn, actually, I connected with a company out in Pittsburgh that has an infrascanner, which is a handheld device that can actually detect brain bleed after traumatic brain injury. And because of that connection, I was able to meet the people at Carrick Brain Center. Carrick Brain Center now is the technology that I was talking about that is treating autism and Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And it's truly amazing how a technology, it looks like you sit in a chair, they strap you in, and you actually start going around. And the first time that I went through the treatment, I remember when they first stopped the chair, I felt my brain continue to rotate within, obviously inside my brain. It's on my head, and then I felt it lock in. I walked into the clinic on a Monday with 64% of my balance because of the concussions that I had suffered. And by Friday morning at 6 a.m., I was up at 84%. My peripheral vision just completely opened up. I had no idea how bad I was. Everything was closing in. I was walking around with blinders, if you will. And in about 3 days, everything was gone, everything opened up, and I see everything. But the way that it's treating kids with autism and the Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, it's truly amazing. So I'm very, very happy. If it's the name of the website, if you want to take a look at it, it's CARRICK, CARRICK, braincenters.com. So take a look at it. It's pretty neat. Sure.
Mr. Clemente, good afternoon. My name is Pavel. I'm from Peru. I'm very happy to see you here. I'm very proud and to hear your story. It's very inspiring.
Thank you.
So this is my question. All the way from Peru, I know I'm very excited. I'm very lucky to get this education in the United States. And I'm a political science major here, and I'm not thinking of going to baseball league. So as a student, what would be your advice for me to, how can I change or how can I improve, how can I help, how can I follow those, your dad's steps as in the position that I'm living right now. And secondly, do you speak Spanish fluently? Just
Por
like-
supuesto, soy puertorriqueño, tú eres peruano, hablamos español.
Solamente quería preguntarle porque a veces la gente piensa que no puede hablar español, pero bueno. Solamente quería una curiosidad mía. Bueno, muchas gracias.
¿Cómo no? Un placer. To answer your question, well, you understood all that, right? To answer your question, I truly believe that, as my father said, he told me, you don't have to be a baseball player to have an impact in society. Just be the best that you can be the best student right now, and go on and get it into your career. But make sure that everything you touch, like I said, be in a positive way. So just by doing the right thing and helping others, you're actually doing what he did, which is actually helping our brothers and sisters to become a better person.
Do you listen to Calle 13?
Sí.
Hi, Mr. Clemente. My name is Emily. Your father was obviously very global and influential man, but you are also. So, do you think you would be the man today if your father was still around?
I think that if my father was still around, oh, wow. I often think about that. Thank you for the question. I often think about that. And I know that destiny is something that is something written for us. Then again, we have our destiny in our hands. We can do something about it. Where we're going to end up, it's yours. It's yours to go and write it. You write your own destiny. Now, I often think of where I'd be today if my father was alive. Perhaps I would have never gotten hurt while I was playing ball. I had many questions when I signed professionally at 18. And I truly believe that in his 38 years, he did one thing. He picked the perfect woman to be his wife and the perfect woman to be the mother of his children. And I believe that with that alone, I am who I am because of him, but mostly because of her. So I'm very proud to be Vera Clemente's son as well.